I'm Dr. Barry, licensed psychologist, and here we talk about true crime and psychology. Thank you so much for joining. Let's hop right into today's topic. Let's go. Welcome, welcome. Thank you all so much for joining. I am working on technology because right as I pressed go, like right as I started everything, it looks like there we go. It's not coming through my speakers. Wait, here we go. Let me do this test real quick. All right, so my speakers are now working. Good times. Today we are going to talk about a few different cases, and let me know if you all have questions. Thank you, Afton, for lurking. Thank you, Karen, for being here. Donna, you were first in the chat today. And so welcome, welcome. And I've been following this case with Emily D. Baker as well. I also catch Kathy's quick updates over on Gossip Rumor and Innuendo. And I saw that she's going to have Lawyer Lee, because Lawyer Lee has been providing really great updates on the Brian Walshe case as well. If you know nothing about any of the cases I'll be talking about today, please know that in the description, I have overviews of each case over in the description. So in the Brian Walshe case, he is charged with the death of his wife, Anna Walshe. And I thought the testimony from her, the realtor turned boyfriend at the time, I thought that testimony was pretty interesting because it seemed like we got more details that part of the reason why Anna was in DC and the kids were still with Brian was him being the caretaker for the kids helped him potentially stay out of jail while he was awaiting, whatever things he had coming up for his sentencing, that if he said he was the primary caregiver for the children, that could potentially help his case. Because a lot of people, I saw not a lot, I saw a few comments about, why wasn't Anna with her children for Thanksgiving? And it just seems like she might have been trying to move forward in her life in a way that maybe didn't include Brian. And I do think that this case, it's going to be difficult for the state to prove first degree, especially since there is no body. And the defense is doing a decent job trying to provide context for some of the different searches. And it was painstaking. So like I had to watch somebody else cover because the defense had this one state expert up there forever, and he was just like going through everything, and it was difficult for me to follow. But then I saw Lawyer Lee cover aspects of it. I was like, okay, I get it. I fully understand what the defense was trying to do. But when I was watching it live, I was just exhausted. I felt bad for the poor guy that was on the stand. It just seemed like forever. And Lisa, thank you for sharing that case of the Utah dad. I will give a content warning before we get to the cases that involve any children. I will give a content warning for those. So let me know if y'all have any general questions about the Brian Walshe case. I think at times, I wonder how I know a lot of people watching are not loving his lawyer, but I wonder how the jurors are kind of seeing this strategy. And so far, the jury does not know that Brian has already pled guilty to what he did to the body and lying to the police. They are not aware that he already pled guilty to those things. I do think he is going to take the stand. I do think the jury is going to find, because he's already pled guilty to those two charges. And I don't know if if the jury will get all the way to first degree. I think the state is doing a decent job. I do wish the state had more like visuals. So Lawyer Lee did a really good job breaking down the timeline. And I know Emily D. Baker is having to take notes because the state does seem to be jumping around in different timelines. And it was like, okay, this was at this time and this was at this time. But they're not going in chronological order. Like they're doing something a little bit different. Excuse me while I parent. Yes, you may have a piece of gum. Good job. Thank you for asking. Good job. Yes, yes. And let me see. You've been watching with EDB as well. Yes. So you think Anna was leaving Brian and that he was aware? Because I thought it was interesting that he searched the realtor's name and that he called the realtor and said it was the kid, or somebody called the realtor and said it was the kids. And I'm saying the realtor because y'all know I'm bad with names. I forgot the man's name. Let's see. Oh wow, somebody mentioned that they lived up the street from you. Wow. Yeah, the state is a little all over and it's been hard to follow. So, and I'm a visual learner, I am not an auditory learner. So me just hearing this time, and just hearing all the information, there were searches that were standing out, but I was having difficulty tracking it all. I do wonder if the jury is taking notes and if they're taking notes on any aspects of this. Now, I think the December 25th, I thought the defense did a good job explaining that he was searching for a plane crash because she was supposed to get on that JetBlue flight, and he wasn't aware that the flight had been canceled yet. Now, if he had her flight number, because he probably could have went to because I think she was flying out of DCA out of Reagan. JetBlue is one of the I fly JetBlue and United, not sponsored. Those are just the two airlines that I frequent the most. And JetBlue is known. So they do shuttles all day between DC and New York. And they also go from DC to Boston, or there are different planes there are multiple planes that go back and forth all day. If the weather is bad or if there are plane issues or any of those things, those flights can get canceled or delayed. And so I did think the defense did a decent job trying to explain. Now, do we know that's why he searched it that way? I don't know. Somebody mentioned that he was in contact with her on the drive home. Somebody mentioned that the jury was given blank calendars. Yeah, like I said, it's been difficult to follow. I do wonder if they are going to call Trooper Proctor. So Trooper Proctor was the lead investigator before he ended up getting the opportunity to leave the police department due to the things that came up during the Karen Reed trial. I don't know that anything inappropriate happened in this trial, but the defense will likely try to bring up things that happened with Trooper Proctor in prior trials in this trial if he does take the stand. Because I think all of those past details would be fair game. I don't know if there are any details, like if he would have been texting people inappropriately, like how he did with Karen Reed, because I know that he was looking for like pictures. He wanted certain pictures from Karen Reed's phone. I think that case, there was some family connection to that case, and I think that's why that case got a little bit more muddy. I don't know if he did anything for this, and so, but we will see. Somebody mentioned, do you think he was desperately searching, trying to find out where she was? And then we will never know. I think he's going to come up with an explanation for it because he lies or he's a storyteller. I don't know the polite way to say it. I tried to listen to his jail interviews and I could only stand about like 30 minutes, I think, or not his police interviews. when he was being interviewed by the police. I think it's a red flag. He never reported his wife missing. I might have I think I because I might have said that he did, and that wasn't accurate. He never reported her missing. There's so many issues with this case. I don't know what the state is going to be able to prove, because we have the law, and I think it's pretty telling. Between December 31st and January 1st, he wasn't searching how to do CPR. He wasn't searching what to do when somebody passes out. Like, he wasn't searching anything, in my opinion, that would show that he was trying to save Anna. And so that's where I wonder what happened. I also wonder what's up with that missing piece of the ceiling. So I don't know what happened with that. There's just so many questions. I think he used his children's tablet, similar to Ali Abulaban. I think he didn't. If he was investigated, I don't think he thought they would take the children's iPads too. So I followed another case. It was out of, was it Nevada? I feel like it was like Nevada. But Ali Abulaban, he was on trial for the death of his wife, and he used his child's iPad to spy on her. And some people are just weird. They do they do weird things, and I do think he was trying to not get caught, but he was not. And we like it when they are bad at crime. Uh, he has a liar lie lie. He has a liar lie face. So Emily D. Baker said that. I'm not surprised. So when we covered the Nicholas Cassotis case, he was one that tried to blame the entire crime on an FBI agent that was also his personal assistant, that was also his, like, I don't know, like, he tried to blame it on Jimmy, this, in my opinion, imaginary person that does not exist. And he came up with all of these lies and tales, and he got on the stand, and it was just as foolish as it was in the police interviews. But I do think Brian Walsh is going to want to try to testify, and I think he also knows that when his children are older, they might see this, because I think he's going to try to play the victim. I don't know it for sure, but if he's convicted of her death, I think he will try to make it sound like it was a conspiracy. People were out to get me. You see, that's why I didn't call the police when she died. I knew I would be a suspect. Like, I feel like he's going to try to make himself the victim without taking any responsibility for his actions. And I don't know him. These are just my general thoughts as somebody that has a channel and talks on the internet. Okay. Um, Let me know if there are any other questions about this case, because our next case is going to be the cruise. So the Carnival cruise, and I believe it is Anna Kepner. Y'all know me in names. Yes. Anna Kepner. We are going to move into that one because during the stepmother's so there's this case. I'll have to give you an overview, but let's just make sure there weren't any other questions about this. Okay. Do you think part of the ceiling was removed because of blood splatter? The true crime person in me wonders if there was something, because he seemed intent on, like, making it not look like there was any crime there. So and I wish he had Googled how to get blood out of the ceiling, because he didn't Google that. But I wonder if something happened and something got on the ceiling. That's what I personally wonder. So it might have been California. Y'all know me and details. It could have totally been California. I know it was somewhere out there. Yes, yes, yes. It was either California or Nevada. Mm. I might have covered Ali Abulaban and Robert Tellis around the same time. I know Robert Tellis was Las Vegas. I know that much. All right. Let's see, let's see. Ooh, if he takes a stand, I am definitely going to cover it. Uh, so if he takes a stand, cross-examination only has to ask, "Did you love your wife?" Ooh, when you did all those things to her. But I think he would ugh. So he doesn't seem to be grieving her. If you look at his behavior, and I am not a behavior analyst, like, I'm not a behavior analyst, he doesn't seem to be showing signs of grief as they're talking about everything. He looks very intent, like, he's paying attention to everything that's being said. He's exhibiting appropriate courtroom behavior. He doesn't seem to be sad in my own personal thoughts. He did look upset when the lover was on the stand. Now that we saw a little emotion when the former lover, well, like when he was on the stand. Let me see if there are any good still shots of that. Um, let me see if there videos. I did watch that full testimony. All right. Let me see if they cut away to Brian at all. Yeah. Okay. So let me share my screen. Ooh, he was intimidated. Somebody said he seems inconvenienced. Yeah, I guess so. He might be grieving the money. Cause yeah, and it's difficult because in a trial, they're not supposed to show emotion in front of the jury. So I totally get that. And then also, like, he seems to show more emotion when it's concerning him and how he's coming off than than the actual death of his wife. Just my own personal thoughts. All right. I didn't find any good pauses. Let me share my screen. But if you didn't watch the testimony of the former uh her former lover, I thought it was interesting. Um and so like Brian just kind of like he just kind of sits there. So there's no like outburst or anything. He just kind of sits there. So that is what that is. All right. Now, let's get to the next case. So, um, this was a really sad one. An 18-year-old went on a cruise with her stepmother, her father, and I don't know if it was biological grandparents but let me pull up the details. She went on a cruise, and then also because it was her 16-year-old stepbrother that she was sharing the room with, along with her 14-year-old biological brother. Yes. And a lot of people said, why were they able to, because normally you wouldn't put teenage boys and girls in the same room, especially stepchildren. So like step siblings. Normally you wouldn't put them in the same room. And Anna's former boyfriend made allegations that the stepbrother was obsessed with her. We do not know that for true, so we do not know what's going on with this. Let me parent. Yes.
So
Very loud.
in my bathroom, I ran out of toilet paper.
Okay. Do you need some toilet paper right now, or are you okay?
I'm gonna need some toilet paper since I need to go to
You need to go to the bathroom. Can you use the bathroom downstairs? Okay, so go ahead and use the bathroom downstairs, and we will put some more toilet paper in your bathroom. I'm glad I paused. That was a bit of an emergency. Okay, so let's watch a little bit of the hearing with the stepmother. Um, Let me pull that up. I had it all ready to go, and then, technology it was probably me. I ended up losing that. So let me pull up the video, because right now, the stepmother is in a custody dispute with her ex-husband, with the father of the stepbrother involved in this case, and I think there's like a 9-year-old girl as well. So they are in the midst of a custody dispute, and that custody dispute had been ongoing. It wasn't anything new, but because of this case, it just brought more things to the forefront. And so I did want to show, we aren't going to watch it. I believe I have the full link down in the description. She is going to talk about what happened with the cruise. And so okay, so I think this is just her part of the testimony. All right. I'm going to make myself big. So let's go on ahead and watch this. Let's see questions. Are they even married? Because their divorce seems to be. Are you talking about? Because this stepmother, she's married to Anna's father. That's not who she's in court with. It's my understanding he was supposed to be at this court hearing. According to Law and Crime, he dodged the subpoena. Like, he wasn't subpoenaed, but they wanted him to be at this hearing and he wasn't. But it's her ex-husband. So that's somebody else. So this is the father of the son involved, like her biological son and his biological father. Does that make sense? I need a whole thing. Lots of people, I think, have feelings about this, but all right. Let's just watch an aspect of this. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. Let's do closed captioning.
Did you reach out to Mr. Hudson to request that?
Can you all hear that okay? For some reason, my computer is playing the sound. It's not playing it through my Rode. Like, it's playing it through my headphone. Like, it's playing it through the computer. So let me go to settings. Every now and then it does this where my sound output ends up getting, okay, output. Yes, there we go. Okay, it should play correctly now. All right. So let's get back into this. She's being asked questions. I believe this is her lawyer asking her questions.
He agreed to passports for the children?
I reached out to him to inform him of my itinerary to take the children on a cruise and did ask for the passports.
Okay, so this question is about the cruise. Did she get permission from her children's father to go on the cruise? Because her children's biological father is concerned about the sleeping arrangements. And he's alleging that she placed the other children at risk. And he's making claims, and this is in family court. So this is about a custody dispute. He's right now, her biological son, who is the one that's being investigated, he has not been charged with a crime. So the 16-year-old, he has not been charged with a crime. He is the one that we believe was the last person to see Anna alive. And she died by asphyxiation. And seems like she was under somebody tried to hide her almost. That's my understanding of the facts of this case. And so his diagnosis is going to come up here, and his medication is going to come up in this hearing. And so I just wanted to watch a little bit of this, and we will continue to talk.
They weren't needed in this cruise.
And Mr. Hudson actually refused to cooperate with obtaining passports, correct?
To sign for the passport, yes.
You said passports weren't necessary, so they weren't obtained?
Correct.
As far as the minor children, what were the sleeping arrangements on this cruise?
Was in my room with my
9-year-old
and his 9-year-old daughter, and then shared a room with his stepsister and stepbrother. The room was directly across from ours.
What was the stepsister's name?
Anna Kepner.
And then
All right. And so there, she says that, because I was wondering if their rooms were adjoining rooms, but it sounds like they were, so on cruise ships, there's like a hallway. And so it sounds like the room was across from the other. She's going to say, oh, so was there echo? Sorry if there was echo. I'll make sure to go back. Is there still an echo, or is the echo gone? I changed the setting and that might have made something happen. Audio. I have echo cancellation on, but let's do this one. Let me know if that's better. So let me know in the chat if the echo is better. I will play a little bit more just so that we can make sure that the sound is good.
what was the stepbrother's name? And how old is
14,
and how old was Anna?
18.
Now, who made the decision to have these 3 teenagers in one room in the cruise?
We had talked it over with our traveler agent, and that was what was suggested.
Did you have to sign any special permission for
No.
the children?
I think it was because Anna was 18. Okay, good. So hopefully the echo is gone now. So there was another setting in. Okay, so I got the audio good. Good to go. Good. So she's saying the travel agent recommended this setup. The family likely had a budget. And I've worked with some other families where what they've done is they've had maybe a close family friend has decided to go along, or it's 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 a little strange. And she's going to adamantly say that the minor children, there's no way that they were gambling in the casino. I don't know if that's true. So the cruise ships have videos everywhere. And so because she is going to say Anna was gambling she's 18, she can gamble in the casino, but she's going to adamantly say there's no way the minor children were gambling in the casino. She's also going to say that she's not aware of the minor children drinking alcohol. She is going to mention that her 16-year-old son has a diagnosis of ADHD and that he's on Concerta or methylphenidate and also clonidine for sleep. And she's going to mention that he missed 2 doses during the cruise of the clonidine, the sleep medication. But normally you take clonidine, and I'm not a medical doctor. I've had clients prescribe these types of medication. You normally take it right before bed. And the night Anna died, the stepson did not receive his medication that night. And the stepmother is going to say she fell asleep and he did not get his nighttime medication. Now, would not receiving clonidine, could that cause anything? That will be for a forensic psychiatrist. To my knowledge, it wouldn't cause somebody to do anything like that. Sometimes I've worked with some people where they were on medications that help stabilize mood as well. So they were on a medication like clonidine because it was also acting as it's made as a sleep aid, but it was also helping regulate their mood or something else too. We will not know exactly because it could have been some type of argument. It sounds like something happened and we do not know what happened. And what complicates this case is that it happened in international waters. And so this didn't happen in Florida, or like it didn't happen in the United States. It also did not happen on the island in one of the ports. this happened in international waters. So the FBI is going to investigate, and then they're going to have to determine jurisdiction. And so they might have to determine where exactly was the boat when at the approximate time of death. And that may complicate this investigation. The individual who we believe is likely the suspect, he's also 16 years old. And I haven't heard of that many cases where the federal government charges minors. Now, it can happen. Minors can be charged. They can be charged as adults. Minors can be charged with crimes. And so I will definitely keep an eye on this. Ah, and so somebody's just mentioning, so I've worked, I know that clonidine is often given, it's a step above melatonin. So melatonin is a vitamin. Some side effects of melatonin is sometimes people can get vivid dreams. Melatonin is a natural chemical that our body creates as we're trying to go to sleep. Some people will take melatonin as a sleep aid. Please discuss anything you take with your medical doctor. Because I was working with somebody and they were giving melatonin to children that didn't have sleep difficulties. And I was like, I can't tell people what to do or not do with medication, but I was like, I don't believe that's recommended. Like if somebody is sleeping just fine, you don't want to give them melatonin. That can definitely mess with things. Somebody asked, have I watched any of the Robert Devine proceedings? I don't believe I have. And so I felt holiday. So I felt a little Christmassy today. I believe I got this from Aldi or Lidl, one of those two. Lidl. I don't know how you say it. But I definitely got it from one of those stores on a Black Friday deal years ago. But I like it. They're little snowmen, candy canes, snowflakes. Yeah, I like it. So I will have to, I need to catch up on my paperwork. That's what I definitely need to do. Yes. And this is not appropriate. So daycare workers, I clicked on the wrong one. Somebody mentioned daycare workers giving children melatonin without their parents' permission. That is a problem. And because first of all, you wouldn't give melatonin for like a nap. Like that's not gonna, you wouldn't give it for a nap. And because that can mess up with later sleep cycles. And yeah, like that's definitely a problem. Somebody mentioned that tart cherry juice has natural melatonin. Cool. I know. I have to get my paperwork done. Ooh, somebody got some Christmas pajamas from Lidl. Cool. Okay, I have to check out Andrea's channel to check that part out. So with this cruise death, with the death of Anna Kepner, my heart just truly goes out to the family. It sounds like the children have had to change schools just because of the news coverage with all of this. And the stepson is living with another family member. And that's where his biological father, I think, is trying to reestablish a relationship. I don't know anything about the guy. I don't know how, but like that's going to be for the courts to determine and decide what happens with their custody agreement. And it is possible that the stepmother might not have been aware. If Anna was afraid or was creeped out by her stepbrother, she might not have communicated it to them. I don't know if she had ever done any therapy. I don't know what Anna's friends would say if she ever said anything to them. I also would be interested to see what's in the devices and what types of searches were done, because the devices have likely been confiscated and they've likely done digital downloads on devices. Electronic records give you a really good idea of like what happened, what people are thinking, what are people searching. excuse me, especially for kids and teenagers, it can be really telling. And so um I I I hope um I hope she's able to get some justice. This case, because of it happening in international waters, that does make things a little bit more complicated, and they're going to have to decide how they proceed moving forward. Google will get you every time, even on the incognito mode. So incognito is still tracked. I don't know that for sure. I'm not a tech expert, but I feel like that's come up before. They do know what you search on the incognito mode. I think all incognito does is it makes sure, like, I think it's just like cookies or something. I'm not a tech expert. I've already said that fully multiple times. All right. Oh, so now we are going to get into some cases that involve children being harmed. So we are first going to start with the Utah dad case. This is the content warning. The details of this case are incredibly triggering and upsetting. Thankfully, the children survived. The children survived, but not because of their dad. Their children survived because of a courageous 8-year-old. Lisa asked the question, do I believe the father was intentionally trying to do this to his children? I would be interested to see what a digital download of his phone says, because it sounds like he was not prepared for the rigor of this hike. He did not seem to care, in my opinion, based on what I've heard. He did not seem to care that the children's lives were in danger. And he left like his I think it's 8-year-old daughter in charge when there's a 4 and a 2-year-old that are severely injured, and she's having so once again, as I mentioned, the details of this case are really, really horrific. If you have to step out, no worries. I totally get it. If you're going to stay, please know this Utah father is facing child harm charges. And authorities say he took his 3 young children on a very difficult hike during a snowstorm. And there are the 8-year-old that survived told the police that she told her dad, like, she saw the storm clouds coming and she recommended that they turn around. And he said no. And as it started to get more difficult, as it starts to get harder, she's letting him know, like, how much pain they're all in, and he's saying no. His wife, the mother of these children, are saying turn around. Like, I think she uses something to the effect of like, this is like, I don't know, like she uses very strong language appropriately to be like, bring my kids home right now. And he didn't do that. And he took himself. So he left the children on the mountain and he walked down on his own. And so he could have carried, because there was a 2-year-old. Now, let's say he didn't think he could get all 3 children back down, but there was a 2-year-old who had fell and I think hit his head, and they were having to continuously do CPR on this child. Like, he could have carried that child to safety. He could have called. He could have done so many things, and he did nothing. Absolutely nothing. Somebody showed the pics of the mountain terrain, and it's all sharp rocks. It's a miracle that they all survived. I agree. He didn't even know the trail exactly. So he had never done it on his own, yet less with 3 children. And all he brought was snacks. Like, he didn't have any survival gear. He didn't do anything because the children were there overnight. And so that meant, and I don't know if he left them with the snacks. Like, he's just, ugh. And so he's actually being charged with child torture. So Orchard with a T in front of it, he is being charged with something beyond that. So Munchausen's is trying to get attention for yourself. So like physically, so like making your child sick so that you get attention. That does not seem to be that case, because it's my understanding that he went to the hospital, like when his children were in the hospital, that he tampered with one of the children's like medical devices. And so that's where, going back to Lisa's question, was he trying to like not have children? I don't know. Like this case, I'm definitely going to follow it. I would be interested to see what type of defense he even tries. If he just pleads guilty or no contest, like, because it's clear that he did exactly what the state is alleging that he did. Um Let me find the rest of those details. Um Even the search and rescue team, it was difficult for them to find the children. And when rescue staff bumped into him, I think towards the bottom of the mountain, he didn't seem to be distressed. And he said that one of the children were deceased and the 2-year-old was still alive. So I think he thought that one of them wasn't going to make it, but he didn't seem distraught. He didn't seem to care, and that is odd. So, the indictment says that he was acting odd. 2 of the younger children had fallen down and had head trauma, including one who had stopped breathing. In an interview with the 8-year-old girl, she told them that her dad pressed them to go on further, and that she was scared. As conditions deteriorated overnight, so there was hail, there was rain. These poor children, I like their poor clothes are all wet. It truly is a miracle that they survived, and the 8-year-old is the one who's using her body heat to try to warm them. Um, and so sometimes we talk about, how does a person heal after something like this? Um, while that 8-year-old, she is a phenomenal survivor. Like, it's because of her actions that her siblings were able to survive. It shouldn't have been on her. Her dad abandoned her. They were abandoned. And um they'll probably look into, like, I don't um and so, no, I'm just saying, if I knew, if I knew that my spouse, and maybe the mother had already called, and the mother didn't do anything wrong, because she told him to come home. The mother is cooperating with the authorities, and she was not there. I don't think she was aware. This was like a spur of the moment. He just decided to do this really difficult hike for no real reason. It's very, very odd. Very, very odd. Somebody said, this is okay. So Mount, and I'm bad with saying names, is closer. Oh, so there was a more family friendly option that was closer. And so a lot of people do feel that this was intentional, and one of the children may have permanent brain damage, because in order to save one of the children's lives, part of their skull had to be removed, and they also had to do like some drainage, and one of them is likely going to have very, very severe injuries that may impact them for the rest of their life. Also, losing oxygen, because it's my understanding that child's body temperature dropped significantly. I want to say it was like 60, like that child's body temperature, they were in a hypothermic state, and losing oxygen for periods of time can definitely impact the brain. With children being so young, sometimes kids can, because the brain tries to heal, but this is just absolutely ridiculous. I didn't think it could get worse than Ruby Frankie. This was probably worse than Ruby, and I thought so. The child's body temperature fell into the 60s, which is not safe. Like, I can't say that strong enough. So yes, it was 62.6 degrees when he arrived at the hospital. And that child was having a stroke, and the children were afraid. And so the psychological and emotional impacts for all three of these children is going to be significant. Uh, and so they received the medical care that they needed, and Child Protective Services is definitely investigating. The indictment said that Smith was also arrested for DV in the weeks after the incident. After this incident, November 10th, the defendant trespassed on like the children's hospital, because he was interfering with one of the children's care and tampering allegedly with that equipment. So that's based on a news report, and I have all news reports linked down in the description. There is a video, so let me go ahead and share this. Let me share this tab. Okay. Make myself a little small. All right. So this was sidebar. So I am going to skip past when they start talking, because I just want to hear his part. This really, so I watched this update, and watching this was part of the reason why I decided to cover this case. The state asked for him to not be released on bail, and it's my understanding that he is not going to be released on bail. So let's play from here.
On the bench when Micah Smith asked for release. So Micah Smith now remains in the Salt Lake County Jail. He's held without bond. He's scheduled to be back in court on Monday, December 8th, and we will, of course, be following every development. That's all we have for you right
now. All right. Very, very sad case. Extremely, extremely sad case. And so somebody thought that maybe it was some sort of boot camp, but he wasn't prepared. And I wonder if he was mad at the mother. So I've sometimes seen people do something like this, where there's something going on between the husband and the wife, and to get back at the partner, they use the children. I do not know that that's what happened in this case. I'm just saying, in general, I've sometimes seen that happen, or that this individual is like, let's say they're concerned that the spouse might leave them or something, that they do something to the children, as a way to say, like, if I can't, then nobody's gonna, or if we can't be together as a family, then, and it ends up being coercive control and absolutely horrific things. I haven't heard anything about insurance. Thankfully, the children survived. It seems more like a domestic dispute to me. And in that law and crime update, they did show a few of the text messages from the mother, where she's pleading with him to come home, and he won't. And so somebody mentioned that he was spiraling before the incident. Hey, Tanika, welcome, welcome. Thank you for covering all things Sarah B. All right. Yeah. All right. So now I recently saw an update for another case. And the interesting part of this case is that the mother in this case is a nurse. Okay. Let me find this. All right. And so this case is also out of Utah. I don't know what's going on in Utah, but thank you, Sarah. He said in text to mom, sure would be easier, or sure world be easier with another parent. No. So this is so the next case I'm gonna cover does involve, I believe the mother in the case was a nurse. And so this involves and so this case does involve the death of a 18-month-old, and the details of this case involve neglect. Okay? Yes. And so Sarah, let me know. Was she not a nurse? Because I thought I saw somewhere that the mother in this case was a nurse. Um, okay. All right. So this couple was arrested after the death of their 18-month-old daughter, Ruby. And she passed in March. And once again, details of this case absolutely horrific. Okay. We talk about it just to give us a safe space to talk about these difficult cases. Um, they were arrested in connection with malnutrition and dehydration of their 18-month-old daughter. Mitch is 31 years old, and Carrie works as a patient care nurse. So that's the mother, have been arrested for alleged aggravated capital M in the first degree, aggravated child harm, intentional or knowingly, which is a second degree felony. And all of this began in March. So after the death of Ruby, March 19th of this year, she showed signs of neglect. I believe the parents were just arrested this week, or because this news article is just from this week. So I think they might have been arrested recently. I don't have the exact arrest date. But I saw this case come up in the algorithm and wanted to talk with you all about it. The investigation found evidence of a severe pattern of neglect leading up to her death. And there are baby monitors and surveillance cameras where they were able to look at a pattern for 4 days, for about 96 hours, immediately preceding the date of death. During that time, she was only outside of her crib for 6 hours and 15 minutes. She was only outside the crib for 6 hours and 15 minutes in 4 days. And she's 18 months old. The total time another human being was present with the child was 49 minutes and 15 seconds, less than an hour. In 4 days, a person was with her for 49 minutes and 15 seconds in 4 days. During this 96-hour time frame, she only had 6 diaper changes, which for an 18-month-old that isn't potty trained, you would change them right before bed. You would at least change them 2 to 3 hours after that. You would change them 2 to 3 times after that. You would definitely change them right right before bed. You would give them some type of bath. You would do all of these things. She was only changed 6 times in 4 days. The findings of the medical examiner confirmed that the infant died due to complications arising from malnutrition and dehydration. Based on these facts, the Murrays were taken into custody. And it's my understanding that when the child died, that they thought that it could have been SUDS. And so when she was found in her crib, it's my understanding that the room, that there was loud music playing. They would place food and drink inside of her crib with her, but inside of the crib there was like there were waffles, and so like they didn't clean the crib, and anything that was placed in her crib was not cleaned out. Ugh. So there was like moldy food, like there was food inside the crib with her. Um, they would also give her water in between feedings. Um, they fed her about three times a day. Oh, sorry, wait a minute. And I think there was a 4-year-old child in the home as well, and there were no issues with the sounds like the 4-year-old was receiving adequate care. Investigators arrived and found Ruby's crib was noticeably warmer than the rest of the home. She was wearing long sleeve footed pajamas. The crib was dirty with old pieces of waffles and several sippy cups. Um, at 18 months old, she was just over 17 pounds, and that's way too little for an 18-month-old. That's small. Um, uh, After reviewing 4 days worth of footage from baby monitors, as I mentioned, I gave you all the details of how often somebody was with her. And one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about this case is because even if a parent or a family is feeling incredibly overwhelmed, that's where, and if they're struggling to care for their child, 'cause let's say somebody has significant mental health. Let's say something's going on and people need help and support. That's where reaching out to family, to friends, to somebody else, because this child was not adequately cared for leading up to her death. And it's my understanding that the mom said something. Let me find that the mom said it was her time after she died from malnutrition. And so to me, it was not her time. No, no. Um, she needed love, she needed care, she needed to be hugged and held, talked to, played with, to be able to walk and get up out of the crib. She needed all of those things. Um, yes. And so it's one of those, um somebody said they kept her in a bag sleeper. So I think it was one of those like zip up. So she was in a footed onesie, and then I think there was one of those. My brain is forgetting what they're called now. I was reading updates from what I saw online. So these were news reports. Some people have likely looked at the some of the court documents and some of the other information that is given. Yep, yep, yep. All right. Like, that's just so sad. Okay, so it was a brother. Okay. I thought it was 4 years old. I could be wrong. I thought there was a 4-year-old. Sleep sack, exactly. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. And so, or turn baby into the fires. So sometimes people just need a break, and it's not that they're trying to relinquish custody of their child. They're just overwhelmed, and they just need some temporary help or support. Or if it is a case where a person is not able to care for this child at all, you can reach out to social services, you can fire station, you can do 911, you can do any of those things. Um, this child was not being adequately cared for. And I wonder if there are cameras to say like what the other adults were doing during all of this time. I think the father was the primary caregiver while the mother worked. But if the mother has some type of nursing background, if I was on the jury, I hold people in the medical field to a bit of a higher standard, where it's like you see your child is losing weight, you see that this is neglect. Like if somebody came into the hospital, or you couldn't do this to anybody else. And so sleep sacks are for younger children, because once kids can walk, so my kiddo was only in a sleep sack up until like maybe one and a half, but like because he liked the sleep sack for a little bit, but we didn't do a sleep sack once he could once he was walking. Yeah. Wow, wow, wow. Super duper sad. Very, very sad case. Please be sure to like the video if you like content like this. Follow if you want to see more videos just like this. When I do talk about heavy, difficult cases, I do try to see, okay, what if I was somehow involved with this case, how could somebody have intervened earlier? And in 4 days to only spend 49 minutes with an 18-month-old, a child that needs constant care, that is very, very alarming. And there is something called learned helplessness. We talked a little bit about orphanages or about reactive attachment disorder. Kids that are exposed to severe neglect, sometimes they will get to the point where they stop crying altogether because they don't, like, the adults don't come. Excuse me. And that is very, very sad to see. That is very, very sad to happen. Hey, buddy.
I am ran out of my soap in my bathroom.
Okay, like for your hand washing soap?
Mhm.
Is Dada upstairs or is he downstairs? Is he putting away his food or is he
Um,
upstairs? I'm almost done. Just give me like 10
I'm
minutes.
pretty sure he's upstairs.
Okay.
What inside of that?
Do you mind asking Dada for tissue? There might be some. Langston, look to see if there's any tissue inside that closet right there. The closet? No. So the linen closet out there. I wonder. In the hallway? Because you needed tissue in your bathroom, right? Or did you find tissue for your bathroom?
Yeah, I need tissues for my bathroom, and I also need tissues.
And you also need some soap.
And also I also need my soap for inside of my room since
Soap inside your room?
no
Hand sanitizer. Tissues.
Yeah.
Okay. Nose tissues inside your room.
Since I had a box inside and it ran out.
Okay, sounds good. Yes, learned helplessness can affect adults as well. The thing with learned helplessness, so the way that they studied learned helplessness is sad. Okay, it involves harm to dogs. They would never be able to do this study ever again. So psychology, before we had good human and animal rights agencies, psychology was able to get away with a whole bunch. So there was an experiment where there would be a cage, an electrified cage, and with like a barrier in the middle. And what they would first do is the dog would be placed on one side and they would receive a shock and they would jump over to the other side to escape the shock. Okay. So anytime there was a shock, the dog would hop over and then they would no longer receive the shock. Well, then what ends up happening is both sides end up being electrified, where so the dog is on this side and they end up getting shocked. They jump over to this side, they're still getting shocked. There's no escape for this pain. And eventually what the person did, or what the dog did, is they would just lie down. They wouldn't attempt to, because at some point they might have turned the shock off on the other side. But once that happened and there was no escape for pain, the dog would just give up. And that's what we think of as like losing hope, losing the possibility that things might change or things might get better. And so learned helplessness, that's when somebody thinks no matter what I do, it's always going to be bad. Nothing's ever going to change. Things are always going to be this way. When I have clients presenting with those types of thoughts, we often try to make very, very small changes, because sometimes what might be happening is I'm working with somebody with severe depression where they're never going to have zero depression. Like that's never going to happen. But we might be able to, if their depression is at a 7, I might be able to have them realize when it's at a 6 or when it's at a 5. and let's say 10 is the most depression they could possibly feel. And so instead of feeling hopeless, so that like I'm never going to not experience depression, we can sometimes find hope and like, oh, sometimes it'll be at different levels. Sometimes it'll be a 3 out of 10. Sometimes it'll be a 6 out of 10. Sometimes it'll be a 4 out of 10. And then if medications make it better, that for some people they get their serotonin in a bottle. Some people need, it's a biological health thing where they need to make sure in order to take care of their health and mental health, medications help them. Often individuals with bipolar disorder, sometimes consistency with medication can be difficult because uh, the normal mood can feel kind of odd, but it takes people off of that roller coaster of up and down. And then making sure that people are doing those natural things that help them out as well. All right. So, um, yeah. 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 So like this case was super duper sad. Super duper sad. No. So nobody is a perfect parent. I like it when I get to parent on stream for you all and you all get to see my patience with my kiddo. And I talk to him the exact same way off as I do on. And I have to be really careful of my facial expressions because and I am glad that when he comes in, he knows that if it's something important, he can always, interrupt the stream and it's fine. Realistic goals for depression is crucial. Exactly. We can't think positively and just think it'll magically go away. Exactly. Same for that and anxiety. So anxiety is a normal emotion. You're never going to have no anxiety, but the goal is for emotions to be more manageable. And I worked with a few clients this past week about sticking to the facts versus their perception and assumptions, because perceptions and assumptions will make things feel worse. And I need to check. So let's say I think my husband might be mad at me. If I'm thinking that, I need to check in with him to be like, hey, babe, are we good? And if he's like, yeah, we're good. Okay. He's not mad at me. Okay. Like I can that doesn't like he's because our rule is, hey, if you are mad, you have to tell me. I am a psychologist. I'm not your psychologist. I'm not gonna figure it out. If you're huffing and puffing and mad, I'm just gonna think, whew, he's going through a lot. I'm not automatically gonna assume Patrice did something. I'm just not. And so I really, really appreciate you all being here. And that's the thing. When you've been so long with that empty feeling or just exhausted, even 1%, you want it all gone. I know. And so that's where I try to help clients figure out what things can help. And then I really have had a lot of success with different treatment modalities. So DBT skills training, that eye movement desensitization reprocessing, doing schema therapy, working on like those deep seated beliefs of there's something wrong with me, nobody loves me, different things like that. If we can get to the root of some of those issues, that often that can be helpful. Thanks, Karen, for promoting the book. Ooh. One thing you model for me is healthy boundaries. Yay! So the boundary book that I love is by Nedra Glover Tawwab, Set Boundaries, Find Peace. It is one of the best boundaries I've ever had, I've ever read. And I've read other ones by multiple other authors, and that book was my absolute favorite. All right. And depression lies, anxiety lies. Sometimes our mental health will lie to us and say, everybody hates you. You're doing everything wrong. And yeah, there might be some people that don't like me, and that's okay. I'm starting to leave more negative comments up. Please don't feel free. Please don't feel like you have to like defend me in the comments or anything. But I am starting to because normally I would delete them. I get pleasure out of deleting comments that, because it's my platform. It doesn't have to stay here. Oh, wow. Somebody said they set a boundary and got sued. Wow. And so I'm careful about how I set boundaries. And sometimes I do have to consult with a lawyer around certain boundaries. And there are some things that I don't fight. Some battles I don't fight. And I pick and choose. It is what it is. Um, Sometimes anxiety can be helpful. Sometimes depression has interesting information. Like if I'm grieving or if there's something going on, sometimes they're just lying and they're just making things a lot worse. I need to look for the opposite, because anxiety focuses on fear and it's only going to look at all the bad. And so sometimes I have to look for what else is happening. Depression is gloom, doom, blah, blah. It's just blah. And so I might have to find joy in something. And yes, schema therapy is a form of CBT, correct? All right. I'm gonna go find my child some toilet paper. There's some, I'm telling you, there's a linen cabinet right outside my office. I see dad. But everything's fine. I hope that you all have a great rest of your weekend and rest of your week. I'm really excited to see Lawyer Lee go live with Kathy. I saw, I think Tanika was getting together with somebody. Make sure to check out Tanika's 2 cents. Karen is a mod here, and she also shares legal information on her page as well. I have a therapeutic playlist. So if you look at my playlist, I have 2 videos on anxiety. And we can go from there. Ooh, The Gift of Fear. Nice. Thank you for that book recommendation. I hope y'all have a good week. I'll see y'all next time. Bye.